the I believe that you can achieve anything you want. Anything is possible if you believe in yourself. And a lot of people set self-imposed limits on themselves. And why limit yourself?
I'm really excited for today's episode where we're going to be talking to someone who has just won at everything on the outside, whether it's business, whether it's hobby, sport, family. He just wins all the time, and really getting to see behind the scenes that it doesn't always feel like that from the inside, that it doesn't always feel like we're enough. But how do we harness that feeling of not being good enough to go and achieve amazing things in the world? All right, guys, today's guest is Mark Moses. Mark is an impressive guy. He's an author of two books, Make Big Happen and Making Big Happen. You want to hold those up real quick?
Sure.
Let's show off the cover, man.
All right.
For those that are watching the videos, awesome. He's won the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, completed 12 Ironman triathlons. Above what age were those?
Oh, I think the first one was at like 41 through maybe 51.
Man, that's impressive. You have a beautiful family who I've met. Just so many other accolades. And again, I could probably burn up the entire podcast talking about those. But some of the ones that really stuck out to me is you may have seen Mark in the business world as the guy who rode in on an elephant to a company meeting, which is just such a flex, such a cool thing to do, really live in the brand. And he's also the founding partner of CEO Coaching International. And it's the organization that I actually have coaching me through Jerry Perkel, one of his coaches. They've coached 1,300 high growth CEOs, which is just unbelievably impressive. The amount of people that you guys have affected, and just the amount of the world's economy that is affected by the people you guys work with. It's truly, truly impressive. And Mark, I'd love to kind of jump in on the idea of, talking a little bit about your dreams and how that process went early on in your life. And when did you first know you made it? Because you've had an interesting journey.
Well, first of all, Nick, it's good to see you again, and thank you for having me here with you today. And it'll be fun, just you and I just sharing some stories together. So, that's a good question. When did I think I've made it? I don't think I have yet. I wake up every day fired up to see if I can make a difference every day. Even though I'm 58, I still feel like I'm in my 30s, just aspiring to be somebody someday. So I've had some wins along the way, I've had some losses along the way, and I wake up every day energized to do something good every day.
So in your 20s, it sounds like you had some interesting successes as a leader of your business at the time. There was never a moment for you where you're like, holy shit, I exceeded my own expectations.
It was interesting. I read a book, I think I was 20, maybe 23 years old. And the book was called If It Ain't Broke, Break It. And I forget who it was from. And then when I finally moved a few years ago, I saw that book sitting on my bookshelf and I took the book out again. And one of the questions in the book asked to dream a little bit about what success might mean. And it was fun to do that then. I didn't even remember that I did it. And one of the things I wrote down was win the US squash championship. That was one. Sell my business was another. Um, be a millionaire before I was 30. And then someday I did such neat things that I'd get to speak all over the world. And so those are the four things I wrote down. And it was funny, when I was 28, I won the US Squash Championship. When I sold my business when I was 26, I now become a millionaire. And and today I speak all over the world, and it's really cool to be able to share my message. And I think the power behind all of that is if you dream, it'll happen. And we even every year, my kids don't want to do it anymore. I don't know if they don't want to do it anymore, or my wife doesn't want to hang that stuff on the fridge anymore. We used to put our goals; they were due every January 1st. We'd have at our family meeting on January 1st, everyone would have to review how they did on last year's goals and then present the new goals. And they everybody do it in a cool with a pictorial of all the things that they wanted to achieve. So it was really, really neat. And but it was cool because one year my son put on it that he wanted to do the Antarctica Marathon when he was 14, and it was like that's pretty big shoes. And then of course he did the Antarctica Marathon. We did it together. My daughter had put on the list one year that she wanted to win the California State for gymnastics. Well, funny thing, she ended up doing that. And then later, I want to go to the University of Michigan. Well, you got that on your goals? Is you post that? And I want to do crew. I want to win a Big Ten ring. It's amazing the power of belief. If you actually write it down and look at it every day, good stuff happens. So I believe it's great to have goals, great to have dreams, because if you do, it'll happen. We just had one this summer. It was our dream to take our boat to Europe sometime, and my wife and I and many friends and family did 4 months on the boat in Europe this summer, and I still want to get to 100 countries. I'm at 97 right now, and I'm gonna have to up my goal because I'm gonna hit that pretty soon. And so, anyway, the power of dreams, it just works.
So I hear two things that come through on that, which is the first thing I want to touch on. I want to split track it so I don't forget. Is one, you said that you still haven't felt like you made it, but you did say that you achieved all of your dreams that you had written down in your 20s.
Fair.
So is it a moving target for you that you actually it's the chasing that you're after, not actually the achieving part?
So that is a really good question. I reflect on that often, and I think that it's inspiring to be in the game. And the monetary success, I don't know, or metrics or that part of it, that may be a scorecard that people use to judge or measure how they're doing. For me, I just like setting new goals and going out and seeing what I might be able to achieve. That'd be super fun. And there was, I was inspired by a 21-year-old who, by the time she was 21, she'd been to every country in the world. And I had these goals that said, I want to go to 100 of them. And I thought, am I thinking too small? She at 21 has been to all of them already. And so there's a few countries I don't want to go to, but I think I was thinking too small. And as it's time to recast that goal to go to all the countries. So I think I'm chasing the journey more than the destination.
Do you take time to celebrate when you achieve the
We
goals?
do.
Or are you right on to the next goal? Okay,
No,
that's good to
we
hear.
do. And it's my wife and I have a little tradition here at home that, for example, we could turn into alcoholics with this tradition, but every time our firm would land a new client, this has been going on for 15 years, we would celebrate with open a nice bottle of wine. As the firm's gotten bigger, it's been a lot of clients coming on board, so there's been a lot of glasses of wine open or bottles of wine open. So we do celebrate. We do, Nick, you know me, I like to have fun just doing cool stuff. So, yes, we do pause and celebrate and enjoy along the way.
Awesome. And I think that's such an important thing because I've seen a lot of high achievers that don't do that part where they're like, great, goal done, on to the next thing. And obviously I do know that about you, that you have taken a lot of time to invite people out, also enjoy those successes, taking people out on the boat, creating really cool experiences. Even your conference seems like, a lot of the conference time was spent celebrating and connecting. So
You know what? There's
um,
um, Andre Agassi story taught me a lot, and his dream, if you don't know this, was to win the U.S. Open tennis, and and he won it, and then he felt he still wasn't good enough. So even though he achieved his game, maybe I just got lucky this team and this time, or I need to validate it. I need to win it again, and then he still wasn't happy winning it. So it was an interesting, I forget the name of his book. I read it several years ago, but it was an interesting story about the chase, and then you're still unsatisfied versus, like you said, do people pause and celebrate as they go on to whatever they're going to go chase next?
So the other piece I wanted to follow, which is an interesting thread, is I think there are people that set goals in their head where it is purely, I want to achieve a number. It's a rational number. I think there are other people that set goals as an emotional state. And what I heard you really talk about was the belief piece, which again is not in the mind. I think it is in the emotional center. So how how do you really make the goal real? How do you make the dream real that you have been able to kind of pull yourself to that reality? And your family, it seems like you've all got a powerful practice for making things actually happen that you set out to do.
Yeah, so that's perceptive of you to pick that up. The I believe that you can achieve anything you want. Anything is possible if you believe in yourself. And a lot of people set self-imposed limits on themselves. And I, I believe, why limit yourself? You can achieve anything you want if you just believe and you just go after it and willing to do the work and do that. So I believe very strongly in that. And it's even when I was it was years ago, um, Iron Man in its early days, when you would watch it on ABC, Wild World of Sports, and I'd watch that and I go, man, that is so cool. Why would anybody want to put themselves into that pain and do all of that? I thought, man, but that looks so cool. Maybe someday I want to do that. And it wasn't until I was older, and I started thinking about that. I think first time I really said, maybe I really am going to do this was when I was 39, and then ended up doing it when my first one when I was 41. So it's interesting that if you believe you can achieve anything. And then I said, man, maybe someday I could do the Hawaii Ironman, but you need to win a race most of the time to get to do that. And so the whole evolution of how to do that. And I've had the opportunity to do the Hawaii Ironman 5 times. So, and when there's a will, there's a way to make that happen.
Again, you keep answering with things where I'm like, there's so many questions that come up because it seems that you've got two unique characteristics. One, I think a lot of people have dreams and they believe, but they don't know how to do it, right? There is still an execution challenge in making any dream a reality. So I am very curious about that piece. And I also think the other thing I hear is I think when a lot of people dream, there's an unworthiness that says, like, yeah, but why? Like, I'm not worthy of that. I'm not good enough to actually achieve that. So I would be curious to know. I mean, again, you've raised a family that seems to have these same beliefs in themselves and these same values. How did you figure it out in your own case when you talked about like the squash championship, for example? What made you believe that was even possible for you? And then how did you actually execute on that?
Yeah, well, that's a good story. I never tell this story. It's really rare. So I played competitive tennis in high school, and I was number one in the little town in Canada that I grew up in. And then our club went bankrupt, and it was the only place to play when it was winter, about 8 months a year. So that was the end of my tennis career. I went to college in Canada, and I tried out for the squash team, and I was the last guy cut from the team. And they took 8 people. I was number nine, and he told me you just got to work a little harder and maybe try come back next year. Well, I never did. And then I moved to California, and the club that I joined, just the gym that I joined, had 4 squash courts. And one day, I walked up to a guy that looked pretty decent, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm Mark. You think we might be able to play squash together sometime?" And he said, "Do you think you can play at my level?" I said, "I don't think so, sir, but I'm a pretty good athlete, and I'll give it all I got, and we'll get to know each other, and we'll have some fun." He said, "Son, when you think you can play at my level, you come back and talk to me." So he turned me down, and I was pissed. And my dream was I need to just beat this guy's ass. And so I practiced, I played with other guys, and finally, this guy agreed to play with me, and he beat the shit out of me, and it was fine. And but he liked my spirit, and he was, I don't know, maybe 20 years older than I was, and he's really good. But eventually I beat him. I beat him once and then again, and then I dusted the floor with him every single time. And even though I still like the guy, I needed to upgrade my game, and I stopped playing with him because I needed better talent to play with. And but that's how I got hooked. And then the first time, first I started playing tournaments, and then I joined the U.S. Championship, and it was in Houston that year. I was an unseeded guy and ended up winning the tournament, and it was like, wow, that's unbelievable. I didn't even think I could win the tournament. It was just, wow, this is really cool that I was able to do that.
That's impressive. So I have to ask the question because I've seen both sides of this. Some people succeed because they never believe that they're enough and they're trying to feel like they're enough. Other people succeed because they think that they're already enough and they deserve everything. So was your approach more that you believed you were deserving of everything, or was there some like I got to prove it, I got to prove I'm worthy?
Nick, I still feel like I'm Rudy. um, from the movie Rudy. I still, every
Yeah.
day, I just feel that way. I hope it never changes because I really like I like feeling like the underdog. I have always felt like the underdog my whole life. I still do. And I like it. It drives me to be better.
That's powerful. It's good to know the why, right?
And
For a lot of
for
people, I think they don't know that.
we watch that movie. I watch it with my wife and kids, and they know exactly where I'm going to cry every single time. And I still do in the same place every time. I just, I don't know. Growing up in a small town, being a little guy, it's, I, this is a funny story. I think it was the sixth grade. We used to play King of the Hill. Um, you get the snow plows would make a big pile of snow, and we'd see who could knock each other off the hill. And being a little guy, man, I was always getting my ass knocked off the hill. This one day, I tackled this guy, Peter Fish, and I knocked him off the hill. And for about 10 seconds, I owned the hill. Man, that felt good. And until he clobbered me, which was fine. I probably deserved it. But it was cool to feel like if you keep trying and get back up, run up the hill, there's a day you might win.
So, how has a guy that identifies in some ways as a Rudy character lead the leaders of the world? How did you have the confidence to now, I mean, build an organization that truly impacts the world on such a large scale, given that you're dealing with the people who are at the front lines of all of this stuff?
Yeah, well, slowly. How it started was in 2008. I said to my wife, "Hey, Warren Buffett's having this event in Omaha, like he does every year for his shareholders. I think we should go." And she says, "Why would I want to do that?" I said, "I don't know. We sold our business like 2 years ago. We got nothing going on. Maybe we go learn something. So why don't we go?" She goes, "Well, I don't really want to go, but if you really want to go, we'll go." EO was having some parties, and YPO was having some parties, and we went. I met this guy named Joe at the party, at one of the parties, at the EO party, and Joe said, just coincidentally, "Hey, would you be my business coach?" I said, "Business coach? To do what, Joe?" And he said, "Help me with my business." I said, "I don't know, maybe a couple months." So that's almost 15 years ago now. And so it's amazing how that got started. It happened slowly and organically. The first 6 years, it was just me. And then I reached out to a buddy and said, "Hey, I got more clients than I have time for. Would you be willing to help me?" And he said, "Sure, that sounds like fun." And then two guys that you know um, had just exited their businesses. And I said, "What are you guys doing now?" I said, "Hey, you want to join me? You guys have been great clients and you want to help some other guys." So it grew very organically and slowly. And then in 2018, we got really intentional about growing the business. Like we are going to be the global leader at this. And from we were 6 million in revenue in 2017, and this year we did 40. And so we really scaled it. We have dreams to take this thing to 200 million in top line over the next 5 years. And it's not the top line that motivates us. It's really having a global impact um, on so many leaders and the CEO, the leaders in their firm, the people that their employees that they work with, and the families that they impact. And it's really fun to make that difference all around the world.
It's impressive. Again, it just seems like you have the DNA for winning at whatever game you play. And you know, when I talk to people on this podcast, it really is curious to hear what drives fulfillment for them. And it sounds like just being in the game and playing beyond your own expectations seems to give you a lot of sense of meaning. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I kid around a lot about that very topic. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday about winning. And and like I do everything for fun. I really like to have fun, and uh, and it's really fun when I win. And so I really do like to win, and I'll make every effort, even as the underdog, to try and win. It's pretty cool.
How does that transition to, you know, again, you are leading all these people. You had a period of time where you were coaching a lot of people yourself. I'd be curious to know how you've helped steer some of those people to their own sense of fulfillment. Again, this idea of they've already achieved maybe the early dreams of success, but that deeper thing that they're after, the deeper why that they're going after. What have you seen really helps people get closer to fulfillment as you've coached them?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. It leaves me with a few thoughts. One of them is I'm going to write one of these down because you'll find it funny. I want to share it with you. It's about the summit we were just at together. The When I had my mortgage company, which was really successful, we grew it to 1.6 billion in annual business, and back then, in those are meaningful numbers. And It wasn't as moving for me. It wasn't as purposeful because we might do 1,000 transactions a month and never meet any of the customers, never talk to any of the customers. It wasn't as fulfilling. What is neat about what we do today, helping leaders be better, is super fulfilling. And so I get people call me up from all over the world and say, I just sold my business, and I'm trying to figure out what to do next. And it's like, well, what do you really want to do? What really drives you when you get out of bed in the morning? What's the dream that you really have or you really want? And for a lot of people, they don't know. And it's really trying to, like, I like to say to them, all right, if you take out a blank sheet of paper and you pick whatever age you are today, and let's say a leader is 45 years old, and you wake up and it's 3 years from now, you're 48 years old and you're living the dream. What does that look like? And why does it matter? It's pretty clarifying, one, on what success is for me, whoever that person is, determining what they really want. And then why does it matter? But like, are they motivated for the right reason? And but you can ask some follow-ups around that. And well, when you achieve that, how you feeling? And what impact does that have on you, your family, your life, your business, your hopes, dreams, and aspirations? And so I think it's important to think about what will be totally fulfilling for that person at that stage of their life, and that can change over time. Now it's funny. You and I were at the Make Big Happen Summit together, and on opening day, we had all the guys that built billion-dollar businesses. They got to speak. On day two, we had the guys that built businesses that were between 100 million and a billion. And so I kid this one guy, Rick Stern, had just sold his business for $710 million, and he says, "Man, I got to go build another business because I'm not even good enough to get opening day." And it was really interesting thinking of that perspective. Wait a minute, dude. You and your business partner built this business from scratch to an incredible business that you sold for $710 million. And now he's going, well, that just wasn't good enough. So it was, wherever you are, there will be people that have achieved more than you have, and that's okay. But for him, it might have been inspiring to get him back in the game to go do something else.
Are there some common thread lines or through lines you've seen that just again and again, and really more to the high achiever mentality? Because I think some of the least fulfilled people are the high achievers. Have you seen things where it's like it's just this common theme that keeps coming up when you talk to them about what really drives them and what fulfillment means to them?
Some people don't really know. And they get up every day and they just do. And then they wake up one day and they go, I'm 55 years old. I've been doing the same thing for 25 years. I'm tired. I'm not motivated. I don't know why I do this anymore. I think it's just regrounding yourself in terms of, what is your why? Why do you do it? And why does it even matter? I think that that's really important. And then there are others on the other side of it. They're very, very clear on what it is that they want to achieve. I want to do X by this period of time, and I want to do it because this is meaningful to me. And or I'm making a difference in the world, or I'm creating something brand new that's going to revolutionize whatever I'm revolutionizing. I think it's different. I think my learning along the way, when I was at my mortgage company, what I learned was I was just done, and I was done because I got bored, and then I got lucky. I sold my mortgage business in 2006, at the end of 2006. Oh my God, if you're ever going to
Nice.
sell a mortgage company and you're selling before Lehman and Bear crash, that's just lucky. And so, anyway, for me, I think having a purpose and doing what you're doing is really cool. It's even like, take some of, you've met a lot of our coaches, Nick. They range in age from early 50s to late 60s, and what really drives them at this stage of their life is getting up every day and doing something meaningful and purposeful by helping others. And you know what else is really neat for us doing what we do is, we like to say, when one teaches, two learn. And we learn
Mm.
as much as when we're given, we're also learning at the same time.
How often have you seen where someone comes to that moment of going, I'm bored, I'm sick of this, I want out, I want to find something else? They sell their company and then they have seller's remorse where they go, actually, at the end of the day, I missed that game.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask a different question, but I'll answer that one. Um, So let me go back to Rick Stern, who we just talked about a moment ago. He sold his business on December 28th of 2021. I was out on a run that morning and had my listening to a book, and my phone rings, and it's December 28th, and it's Rick, and I knew the deal was closing today, or that day, and I said, "Hey Rick, what's going on? Good morning. I'm on a run here." He goes, "You know what? It's the first time I've ever been unemployed. It's today, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go crazy. Hey, can you hold a minute, Mark? Yeah, yeah. What's going on? The bank's on the phone. Yeah, okay. I'll wait. Um, so it was the bank on the phone trying to clear the wire, needed confirmation on the wire. So the wire hadn't even hit his bank yet, and he was already panicking about what he was going to do next. It was like, wow, dude, why don't you take a bit of time and just chill out and relax, and go enjoy yourself, your family, a hobby, anything. Take a year and figure out what you're going to do next. Amazing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine that it's probably really uncomfortable to have to sit with oneself. I mean, that goes back to like meditation, all these other practices I've tried for centering and heard from other entrepreneurs. It's Real hard when you take away all the distractions that allowed you not have to face that inner stuff.
Yeah, I found that you asked about buyer's remorse, and there's a there's a huge buildup for people when they go to sell their business, and I think it's 59 of our clients that have exited now, and some of them for really big numbers. Six of them were over $1 billion, and um, the um, the the day after and the month after, um, there's a bit of a you got the yeah I got it done, and then there's the oh now what, and that now what is that's the most frustrating part because I had an identity in what I was doing before, and now I don't. There was a friend of mine that was running this one of the top banks in the United States, and then he left that and he became a professional speaker. He was speaking all over the world and stuff like that. And as he was building his speaking practice, he said, um, "I used to be the man." And when I was running the bank, and I went from lender to vendor. I could get anybody on the phone anytime because I had power and I was running one of the largest banks in the country. But now I was pitching my speaking services and nobody gave a crap about what I was doing. So there was a real, well, this kind of sucks being in this place that I didn't expect I would find myself here. So that feeling of emptiness. I've sold two companies personally, and it's cool for about a week, and then it's if that long, and then you start beginning what am I going to do with myself? For me, I trained like a professional triathlete, and I didn't have enough people to train with me because all my friends had day jobs, and so it was a lot of time in my own head, ride my bike all over town and or many towns, and um, I don't know. It's different perspective. That's why I think determining what you want really matters, and that can evolve for all of us.
So I'm curious in your case, again, because you've had so much success, at least from everybody else's perspective. Again, you may still feel like Rudy, but what is the dream beyond for you? What do you dream of today when you wake up?
I love what I do professionally, and my dream today is to become the McKinsey of the coaching space globally. So, not playing in the world McKinsey is playing in, but the level below McKinsey. But everybody in the world knows what we do. And ideally, it's the place where the private equity, the operating partners of private equity firms come to us to help them protect their investment. And what this does, like, there's some really neat things about what we do. One, we get to help people all over the world. And what I recognized later was not only the ripple effect into their communities and lives of so many people that ripple so far is really cool. It also is really cool for the community of coaches. I didn't realize this when we started doing this. It was just a few of us buddies initially. But today, our community of coaches of about 60 coaches, former who's who of business around the world. It's a really cool community. And it gives those guys and gals a place to really do something meaningful and purposeful for them at this stage of their life and build a really unique community of former who's who of business. And that too is a secondary benefit that has become really impactful and purposeful to me, this community that we can all learn from each other and this fraternity or sorority like feeling that we have amongst us.
Well, I appreciate what you've done. I mean, I've been part of EO, Summit Series, YPO, all these different communities, and I really was blown away by the conference that you guys threw. It just, the quality of the whole experience, the quality of the people, the openness of the people, the fact that I did feel people were there really to connect with others. And I've not always felt that at other groups I've been to. It seemed like it was more insular. So, again, I'm just grateful to be, able to be in that ecosystem and to have the support of you and Jerry and the rest of the team.
It was really fun.
Really, really appreciate
It
it.
was thank you. It was really fun for us too. Oh my God, with COVID, we had to cancel, and so it'd been 3.5 years since we had done one. So we had all this energy, and I found it really, really inspiring. And for many, the highest rated speaker at that event, and I want to do a shout out to him because it was so, so, so moving. Like, who has their own DJ on stage, right? Jesse Itzler just was what a cool guy, and how meaningful uh, that talk that he did, and how passionately he did it. Uh, to me, that was the um, that really inspired a lot of conversation for many people that were there. That and people are still talking about it, and just connecting with so many people just that were there to meet others and feel the inspiration and love from each other. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and actually, I just got Jesse's big ass calendar in the mail today, and he's one of the people I'd love to get on the show at some point. But I was moved to, as a musician, seeing a guy who took his music career and found a way to spin it into his talks to business communities and having more impact through speaking. Really cool to see that done in just such a creative, awesome way.
Well, follow up with me. I'll get you his number so you can just send him a text and see if you can get him. It'd be amazing to have him on your show. I don't know what you'll do. Are
Yeah,
you gonna you gonna be the DJ for him if you have him on this?
whatever it takes.
Yeah, man, terrific. He's a really, really. I thought that was so terrific. Really cool. I haven't got my calendar yet, but I'm looking forward to getting mine too.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate all you shared today. And again, so much you said, I think resonates with, I imagine, other high achievers. Definitely resonates for me. But the two things that I'm really still processing as we're speaking is this idea of really getting super clear on what success means to you. And I don't know that for me. I really thought I did, but in a lot of ways, I was using other people's definition of success. So that is something I hope to reflect on, especially in the next coming weeks with kind of coming to the end of the year, the start of a new year. The other piece I really liked is I think so often we don't allow ourselves to be motivated by negative shit, which is like, yeah, I just want to crush someone. I just want to absolutely beat someone's ass who made me feel small. And great. If that's the motivation to go do something extraordinary, then go for it. Obviously, you don't physically hurt anybody, ideally, and don't make the world a worse place. But I think sometimes being motivated by just like the desire to prove oneself, if that's what it takes to get the engine going, I think there's really something to be said for that. And I'm sure we could all channel our inner Rudy
Well,
character.
there's so many leaders like that. Think about Jobs, Steve Jobs, and man, what it must have felt like getting exited out of your own company and then finding a way back into your own company. And then to think that we all have, like, I wish Jobs were alive today to see the impact that his firm continues to have. But wow, what demons he had going on in his early days. I don't know if you read that big book that he wrote, pretty
I
amazing.
did.
But even think of guys like Warren Buffett, who just pursuing his dream, still at, was he about 90 years old now, or almost 90, and still on top of his game. And then in the news every day these days is Elon Musk, who's continues to revolutionize all kinds of industries. He's got himself upside down here with Twitter at the moment, and the Tesla stock is plummeting at the moment. And I don't know. I'd be betting on Musk to figure it out because he seems to, for whatever his reasons are, continues to figure out as he continues to revolutionize entirely different industries.
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder the inner workings of people like that. Like, how much are they just trying to prove to themselves their worth? Right. Or just make an example of others. I mean, I think that's why they said Trump ran, right? It was ultimately he got insulted at the press correspondence dinner. I think they said in that moment he decided, now I'm going to be president just to prove you wrong.
I think I totally thought, just speaking of Trump for a minute, when he first ran and there was all these people on stage, it's going, are you kidding me? This guy, there's no way. And all of a sudden, one at a time, one at a time. And I bet you one day he went, wow, it's a possibility I might be able to win this thing. Right? I don't think he believed it from the
Yeah.
beginning. I thought he probably figured it out along the way. So who knows?
Talk about a story of fake it till you make it, right?
Totally.
That feels like a very large scale version of
It's
that.
amazing. And there have been other guys. Look at Clinton as a president that came out of nowhere. I remember you weren't at the summit where I interviewed President George W. Bush, and it's a really interesting story of how these guys evolve, and finally all of a sudden they all the failures that they go through that most people don't remember, and then somehow they find a way to become president, and it's president of the United States is super cool. Everybody's got a story, everybody has a journey, and you know, at the end of the day, I believe this. There are three kinds of people: those that make big happen, those that let things happen, and those that ask, "What happened?" I don't know. We all get to decide that, right?
Yeah. What a great way to close it too. I mean, I think for everyone who's listening, I just hope that you get a little bit from Mark's message around the fact that you could probably go way bigger than you think you ever could. And I think that's really the magic of people that are high achievers. It's swing above your pay grade, go make some magic happen. And in the meantime, if you get a chance, check out Mark's books, Make Big Happen and Making Big Happen. And if you're in any form of competitive anything, whether it's business, sports, how to win at life, go get a coach. Check out CEO Coaching International as well if you are playing big and want to go way bigger, maybe even take your company to an exit. And again, Mark, I just really appreciate you being here and taking the time, and I'm grateful for your friendship as always.
Nick, you're a good guy. I love every time I get to see you. It's been a few times lately in the last or this year anyway. So it's really awesome, and congrats on what you do. And I love the messaging in your podcast here. It's really cool. And hope you get future really cool candidates. If there's ever one that you see in our roster that you want to talk to, just reach out, and I'm happy to help make that happen anytime.
Will do. Thanks for the support. And again, appreciate the time.
Okay. All the best to you. Cheers.